Yo, what's up? It's your boy One Shot Nas, and I'm back in with another video. Today I want to talk to you guys about what camera I'm about to buy and why I'm buying this camera is out of this really competitive market at the $3,000 to $5,000 range. Really, my max number is $3,000, but we're going to talk about the $3,000 to $5,000 range and why that is a super competitive market nowadays. The $3,000 range to $5,000 range in cameras. Obviously, I have two Sony FX30s and a Blackmagic 6K Pro. If you've been watching my content, you guys kind of know that. Of course, like, comment, subscribe to your boy One Shot Now so you can stay tuned for all the videos coming up. Just wanted to put that in there real quick. But of course, I have two FX30s and I have a 6K Pro. And I've been loving my FX30s, been using them, you know, nonstop every single day. But I'm really tired of my Blackmagic 6K Pro, and I've been trying to sell it so much because it lacks autofocus, but it has some of the things I would love, you know, to keep in my camera. Of course, RAW, of course, ND filter, of course, and built-in ND filters, things like that. So I want to talk to you guys about why I want to upgrade my camera, and which camera I'm upgrading. So really, I'm upgrading the Blackmagic 6K Pro and not the Sony FX30s. I'm actually not going to sell neither one of them because obviously I shoot YouTube videos on my Sony FX30s. So obviously I shoot videos on my Sony FX30s. My YouTube videos, I shoot all my corporate clients on my Sony FX30s. And I decided to just upgrade my complete A camera or documentary camera rig, which is the Blackmagic 6K Pro, because that's originally why I bought that camera, because, well, it was my A camera for a long time, but I bought two FX30s that were just so much more efficient for me in different ways, and autofocus, very small, very, you know, lightweight cameras that you can just kind of pick up and do anything with. Like, I have this on the railing system right now on a small TT38 you know, mini tripod, just throwing it up. I have another one sitting backed out, just ready to go. And I've been using these cameras so much. I love the autofocus. I love everything about them. But there are limitations in something that I want a documentary rig. I've tried to shoot a couple documentaries with this camera, and I'm gonna shoot a really big one on April 26th coming up, 2025. But I'm just finding a lot of limitations with this camera, and I'm finding so many limitations with the Blackmagic 6K Pro. So again, why I want to sell the Blackmagic 6K Pro is just because it's no autofocus. It's a big awkward style camera. And for the pricing and all the updates that the Pixels are getting and the new system is getting, the L-mount system, it's just an outdated camera now. And I really wish they would have added autofocus to this camera. If they would have added autofocus to this camera, I probably wouldn't be leaving this camera, but they didn't add autofocus, and that was a really, you know, big drop for me when NAB hit. So I'm just gonna sell it, man. And I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you which camera I'm getting it for. But let's talk about some of the $3,000 purchases that you can buy right now for, you know, non-tariff cameras, I would say, that you can buy right now, right? So some of the $3,000 to $4,000 camera ranges, a lot of people, especially with the FX30s, would think automatically I'm going to get the FX3. Again, I talked about the FX3 already. Two cameras is better than one. I love 12,800 ISO, but I'm not spending at this point $4,000 to buy the same camera body twice. And it has some of the still limitations in a documentary style that I need, right? And I'm going to talk about the documentary style, but I'm gonna get there in a second. I also have not bought any camera because my family is expanding and we're buying a house. So you guys will see some of that footage coming up soon. Say hi. Okay, no hi. Okay. So again, what I'm truly expecting, and so of course the FX3 would be a very expensive purchase for me. I just don't think it'd be a wise purchase. These camera purchases are going to be expensive anyways. That's not the biggest thing. What the biggest thing is for me is the most efficient tool for the job. And I want to do more documentary style work with these cameras. And I think the FX3 is just not the camera for me. It's too small. It doesn't have NDs internally. And you guys who are thinking about some of the cameras that have NDs in them, you're kind of knocking off which ones have them. And it just doesn't have RAW. Like, it doesn't have RAW. It doesn't have things that I can grow with as a shooter. And it's only limited to 4K, which is a big thing because I already have a 6K camera. So that's a big thing, right? Another camera that you can buy going into the $5,000 to $6,000 range is the FX6. Of course, I'm a Sony shooter. So many people think that if you're going to stay in Sony, go to Sony. And I'm really big into that proponent as well. But I think that's just not a thing for me. I think the Sony FX6 is an amazing camera. If I had $6,000, I would spend $6,000. But I don't think at the price range that the camera I want, is I don't think I'm going to spend the money on this. Spend the money on that. So the FX6 is a great camera. The only reason why I'm not buying it is because there's no internal audio besides the top handle, and I would love to just have internal audio, and then also don't want to get into the G Master lenses and have to get into the full frame aspect of the Sony category when I don't have any Sony lenses like that. I have two Sony lenses, 17-70 Tamron, and then the Sigma 10-18, which I'm shooting on right now, and they're all APS-C lenses. So again, that's why I'm not selling my FX30s, because I already have an ecosystem going, very efficient. I don't want to really change that for my client work. My clients love all the footage and the looks. I'm not really changing that, right? But the FX6, of course, I'd have to sell a couple more cameras to do that. I'm really trying not to buy this outright. I'm trying to sell some stuff and then buy the camera. But the FX6 to me is just not a good purchase for me personally. It's a really nice camera. I love that camera. It's a really big camera. It's small, but it's like a big style camera. I love that as an A-cam. I love its documentary style. I love the internal NDs. I love the auto ND. I love so many things about the camera that I would really love if it was offered to me at the price point I want to pay for. But it's not. So, and it's a almost 5-year-old camera. 5-year-old camera. It's 4 years old, but it's 5. To me, it's 5 years old. Any camera that says 4, it's gonna be 5 when I buy it. So again, it's just a lot of good things, but a lot of bad things. You know, to me, it's a 5-year-old camera. It's about to be outdated. I think they're gonna wait a long time before they make the FX6 Mark II or the FX3 Mark II. So that's a big thing. Also, Sony is cool, but if I'm going documentary style, I think I want to change the image, because I'm just limited with the Sony image. Even though the FX6 does look amazing, I just really don't like the image. You know, I could buy an A7S III for that image at the same price point, which would be not the same price point, but at the similar price point of $3,000 that this camera I'm talking about will be there. I'm gonna get there though. All right, we're skipping past Sony. Let's go to another brand, right? So the newest brand that's popping out with some crazy stuff, it's not new obviously, but it's Blackmagic. Blackmagic has the Pixel 6K. They have the Pixel 12K that just came out for NAB last week. And this just was made last week. NAB was a couple days ago. This was the 14th. It was last week. Yeah. You know, they dropped all this stuff. They dropped autofocus in their camera. It's really great. I really would buy the Pixel 6K if the Pixel 6K wasn't was an internal ND. Like to me, the 6K Pro. To me, the 6K Pro is a better camera. Like, I don't know why people think that full frame and 6K is gonna change anything when it doesn't have ProRes. You know, it has, of course, a better body style, which is amazing. I really wish I would have bought that body style, but the 6K Pro has internal NDs, it has ProRes, it has 6K RAW, it is APS-C, it's, of course, an E-mount. It has like the body style has really changed the way that it is, but the interface is the same, you know, same everything else except the sensor. So I love the sensor, the 6K body of the 6K full frame and the Pixel's full frame, of course. But I just think efficiency wise, it's a hassle for me to buy another Blackmagic camera when I don't own any L-mount lenses and I have so many EF lenses. And I have Sony lenses. So people can say you can do it, but I really just don't want to do it. Autofocus is great, but I don't know if autofocus yet has adapted to EF yet. You know, I know it's native L for a fact, but has it adapted to EF? We don't know. So, and that's something that'll take a longer time to bring out. I know Blackmagic will do that. I just haven't done it. But I do like the Ursa Mini, or the Ursa LF thing it came out. It's a really nice looking camera, has internal NDs, a great dot camera, but of course, all the Blackmagic Ursa cameras are like a huge, super huge camera. And of course, it goes to the ergonomics of why I don't want to buy that camera for efficiency. I personally just been shooting on Sony cameras because they're so much smaller and they're efficient. That leads me to the next brand. The next brand that I am really trying to stay away from, but only because they officially dropped the price to $3,000 brand new, is the Red Komodo OG. The Red Komodo, the OG Red Komodo is a phenomenal camera. I've operated it multiple times on the OG Komodo. I love the image of it. I didn't like the efficiency of it, but of course it was a crash cam originally, and it was $6,000, and I didn't want to pull that plus, you know, all the parts you need to make the camera work. That's like a $12,000 purchase, and I just didn't want to do that. So at this point, it's $3,000 brand new, and you can just go get it at not Best Buy, but like your camera store local to you, and it's gonna be $3,000. People were selling it for $4,000 like 2 months ago, just like used, fully kitted. 4,000 is crazy. 4,500 is even better, but like, well, it's even worse, but it's a better because they have more stuff with it. But now you can buy the brand of the camera for $3,000, and that's a really great purchase. And it's really hard for me not to buy that as a true DP. But again, I'm not selling all of my cameras to buy a camera. I'm selling one camera, and they're gonna put some money on top of that camera, you know, just to buy the camera that I want. So the Red Komodo is a great camera. It has 6K. His Red RAW, of course, 16-bit. It has the small box format, and I love that box format. So that's a big thing for me. I've used it multiple times. It has RF. It can use a speed booster. It can go to PL easily. It's a bigger APS-C sensor. Everything about the camera is really amazing. The only thing about it is it's just, for me and what I'm planning to do, it's a hard pull for me because I'm planning to do documentary. And of course my docs will be, you know, Netflix approved with that Red, you know, Komodo, but just a Red Komodo shooter at, you know, shooting a 12-hour shoot, that's a lot of footage. That's a lot of, you know, huge file sizes. That's a more cumbersome non-autofocus camera. So of course I'm getting all the no's, but there's a couple yeses that's gonna be up here in a minute. But the Red Komodo will be a really great purchase. I'm trying not to get, if I was in the music videos, if I was into more narrative stuff, if I was into more interview style stuff, then I'll definitely be buying that camera a little bit better. I'm not buying that camera. We talked about Blackmagic, we talked about Sony, we talked about Red. I would have loved to buy the Red Komodo, but I'm not buying the Red Komodo. I have a couple friends who have the Red Komodo. If I really needed it, I would just buy it, but I'm not buying the Red Komodo. Let's zoom in. Let's get a little closer. So let's talk about some of the other smaller cameras, right? We got the Lumix cameras. I was really big into wanting to buy the Lumix S1H. I don't even know what the number really is. The Lumix cameras. I was into buying a Lumix camera, and it was gonna be a little cheaper than the Sony, but I had a lot of limitations as well. Of course, I didn't want to really get into another system, which was L mount. I could have did that with the Blackmagic. I was really thinking about it originally. Blackmagic 6K Pro with the Lumix, but I saw some videos. Those are really two different sensors, and I didn't want to have to worry about, I didn't want to have to worry about, you know, just always color matching all the time. I was already doing that with, so I wasn't doing the Lumix, but I didn't want to match cameras all the time. Blackmagic 6K Pro was just a different sensor. It would have been a great buy. I just didn't want to have to go through that process. So, of course, it also had limitations like 4K 60 crop. Why I didn't buy the A7S4, A7 IV. It has a fan in it, but it was weird, like real weird, you know, convenience-y stuff as you're running gun shooter, just kind of hitting buttons that don't need to be in a certain place. That's why I got the FX30s, because the button play out is just so much better. We're going to Fuji. So Fuji, I'm just never been into Fuji. I have a homeboy, Marcus Films. He loves Fuji. He has like 2-3 Fuji cameras. He pairs that with his Red camera. He loves it. It has a lot of options. I just never wanted to go X mount. That's just not me. I'm very much into the big three: Red, well, 4, RE, Red, Sony, and the last one is Canon. Now I talked about Canon. Now I'm gonna talk to you guys now. It's serious. I talked about Canon and not buying another Canon camera ever again. That was right after the C80 came out and the C400 came out. I didn't take my time, and I didn't look at the camera prices in the used market for one of the cameras I used to operate with Marcus Films all the time, and that I personally loved that camera in every format, in every look, in all the shots. I loved the camera so much. And I didn't know that the Canon C70 became a $3,000 camera. But I didn't know the Canon C70 became a $3,000 camera used, $3,500 camera brand new. And that is a big yes for me. And I talked about not being with Canon no more, but I own so many Canon lenses that it's almost inevitable for me not to just be a Canon shooter. It's getting to the point where on my FX30, I want to buy the Sigma 50-100, but I'll have to buy another MC11 adapter just to put it on another Sony camera. So that, like, small stuff like that, more having to invest in another system is just pissing me off when I could just go and get this Canon C70. So of course, ecosystem is really messing me up about, you know, everything, you know, just other cameras upgrading and having so many EF glasses. EF glass is really the main thing that has made me want to stay in Canon. And then documentary, the role I'm playing in these tools has changed a lot for me. Because I have two Sony FX30s, I don't need to pair a camera. I just need to do my own shoots. And one thing with the C70 is small file sizes, has 10 stops in ND. It is a docu style camera. It has autofocus. It has digital IS with no IBIS. It's a run and gun camera that can be put on everything. It's a bigger camera that you can just hold. It's something you can put on the easy rig that I do already own. It's like already fitting in so many boxes for me that it makes no sense for me not to have a C70 in my arsenal for the creative work that I like to do. I'm doing more docs. Of course, I already have cameras that are downsampled from 6K. People talk about the sharpness of the C70. A lot of the cons of the C70 don't really go to me because I'm already running with corporate camera styles. I have a Cine back for the FX30. I already have the answer to all these things. When it comes to my work, now my passion style work is really a big difference. Now, I am fighting with the C80, C70 look, but that's a really big difference just for an SDI port and then 6K RAW at like 30 frames a second, when I could have did that with the Blackmagic 6K Pro at all the way to almost, what, 50 frames a second. So spending $2,000, $3,000 extra dollars wouldn't be necessary for me. I just really want to spend $3,000 because I want to sell my Blackmagic for $2K and then maybe add $1,000 cash on top of it and then just buy a camera that can be really ready to go. And that's one of the things that I'm really glad about the C70. You can pick up that camera, put a battery in it, and start shooting immediately. It takes SD cards. It doesn't take anything extra. I mean, if you could put a V90, that's great. It does 4K 120. It only shoots in 4K. It has RAW. There's so many updates to it. You can go and buy one of those used. It's been on the market for so long. I've always wanted a C70, and at the time, it didn't have RAW, so that was also a big thing for me. I don't shoot in RAW a lot, but the fact that I have the option, to me, just makes it feel so much more easy. So, man, I think the C70 for me is going to be the biggest purchase that I make for myself, and I'm probably not going to change because I'm going from used to used, and I don't want to buy a new camera just because it's nice. And I actually sat and I waited for a long time. I waited for NAB. I waited to see what Canon would have pop up at NAB since the last announcement, which was like 6 to 8 months ago, from the C80 to C400. And I'm not in here like, oh, people are gonna hire me for it. No, this is literally gonna be a camera for me. Like, it's gonna be a camera I use passion projects on. I'm one-man banding, like a camera that can do everything. Too many XLR ports, 10 stops ND, like digital IS, even if I needed it, even though it's not something you use, but even if I needed it, it's there. It's a bigger body, it's a great sensor, and that's kind of why I don't want the C80, because the C80 doesn't have the DGO sensor. And I like to embrace the shadows so much that the DGO sensor would just be so much cleaner, and that's a problem I'm having with the Sony FX30. It's just more grainy shadows. I really don't like that on the Sony FX30, so I have to buy a lot of extra, you know, lights and stuff, which is cool. I don't really trip. Of course, this is my corporate setup. So yeah, man, I had to go through all the camera brands to tell you exactly what I was gonna buy, and the reason why I'm not buying any of those cameras, you know, of course, I'm not buying an ARRI camera, but the ARRI camera is like, you know, every filmmaker will have an ARRI camera or a Panavision film camera or ARRI film camera. I'm just not buying that. But the Canon C70 to me is the next best step to that when it comes to the filmic look, when it comes to cinematic, when it comes to documentary style, when it comes to easy rigging, when it comes to 10-hour shoots, when it comes to battery life, when it comes to storage files, when it comes to RAW. It has everything that you can ask for a documentary style shooter that I think is just inevitable for me to buy. So you guys will see, hopefully after I buy my house, I'm able to get some funds together, sell this Blackmagic camera, and then have this Canon C70 on set. I was on set with this camera actually a couple months ago with my friend Desmond, who's been encouraging me to buy the C70, and Marcus Films have been encouraging me to buy the C70 versus every other camera. And when I tell you guys, I'm talking to people all day, every day about should I buy the C70 or the Red or this or that. They're all like, bro, buy the C70. You have Canon glass. You love Canon's colors. You're a doc shooter. Just buy it. Like, so your boy's going to buy a Canon C70. You know, that's the camera I'm buying for 2025. and I'm probably not buying another camera for a long time unless I just need to buy a red camera for $3,000, which I highly doubt that I need to buy a red camera for 3 bands. So that's the video is about today. I just wanted to talk to you guys about it because my wife was tired of me talking to her about it. She's not tired of me talking to her about it. I just be talking my wife's ear off, and I wanted to talk to you guys about it because you guys are filmmakers. You guys understand the struggle of, you know, syndrome on the document. The syndrome. What's the syndrome? I don't know. You guys put the syndrome in the bottom. Y'all like, comment, subscribe to your boy One Shot Nas. Appreciate you guys for watching to the end. If you watched to the end, again, give me a like, comment, subscribe, share my page to somebody else. Road to 1,000 subs. I'm trying to post more videos. Me and my wife have been buying a house. We've been in the house buying process, so it's been a lot of stuff I've been having to do instead of course, sitting on YouTube and making videos. But I want to start making some bread from YouTube. And I'd love if you guys support. So make sure you support, send it to somebody else. And I love you guys for watching. Thank you. Put a whole bunch of comments in the bottom so we can talk about this conversation and tell me what maybe I need to buy for the Canon C70 because I want the speed booster. So, peace.